I used to.
Oh,
Yeah.
I know, you know, they just.
And I don't have.
Don't fall down the fire. The regular direct.
All right, let's go, let's go, let's go.
And then once I get that.
And it looked like.
Escrow
All right, ladies, you wanna come on down? All right. I'm gonna sit here, so you all can sit there. We got Joanna, Billie Jean, Kristen, all right. Oh, all right, good stuff, good stuff, good stuff.
Tyson, yeah.
Oh, you're fine, you're fine. So, I always get excited doing these panels because I'm a sponge for information. And so I always just like, you know, talking to other people and hearing what all these great things that they're doing. So, I sent you all, a list of some questions I wrote down. I want you to know that was just for fun. I'm not following any of those questions.
That's what I was told.
So, there we go. All right, and so we also have this up on Zoom, so can anybody on Zoom hear us? Anybody? Yes, give me a thumbs up. or something.
Yes.
Yes.
Perfect.
All right, perfect. All right, so we're up here in the Central Coast and we've had an absolutely phenomenal day, and I have three amazing real estate agents here. And to no surprise, they're women because the women beat the hell out of men in real estate.
Yeah.
It's just the truth, you know, I say all the time, it's, you know, real estate is really cool, and I'm not even making a joke about this, but. You know, there are still some professions in the United States where there is a gender gap in terms of wages, I mean, let's just be honest. And real estate is not that, as a matter of fact, the women, at least in our company, typically beat the men. If you go down the list, I mean, it really is that way. So no surprise when we were like, hey, let's do a top agent panel. It's like 3 women, great. So message to the men out there, get off your ass and, you know.
We need to fight for equality there, Robert.
What's that?
We need to fight for some equality.
I know, right? We gotta step it up. So anyways, very, very good. So. We're gonna move this along, we're gonna have some fun, I got some questions here, then we'll happily open it up for Q&A, because I'm sure you all wanna know some things as well, but. First thing, I just want, introduce yourself, who you are, what office, number of years in business, so. anyways.
Joanna Nowinski, this is my 10th year, in the business, and I was in Natal Federal, this whole time. I've always been with Century 21, no one else wanted to hire me. It's true. They were like, oh, you're a hairdresser. Real estate is a full-time business, but Century 21 was always welcoming. They're like, no, we'll take you, you're a hairdresser, that's a good thing, and so, now that they call me and they said you'll be a good, you know, you'll be good asset to our company, I said, yes, I know. You didn't want me then, you don't get me
The
now.
confidence, there you go.
So yes, Dave's been my mentor from the beginning. He's super patient. I didn't know how to use computer when I started, so, here I am.
There you go, all right.
Billie Jean Chadwick, I am with the Lompoc office. I've been a realtor for 30 years. I've always been with Century 21 from the beginning.
Wow, fantastic. Kristen?
I'm Kristen Cram. I'm out of the Santa Maria office. I've been in real estate for 6 years now. And I've been I switched between Century 21 and I did a little bit of time at another brokerage and I came back.
All right.
Yeah.
All right, fantastic. Well, cool. Good stuff here. So a good range of people here. All right, so I want to jump right into this. You know, you all are doing some really great things in a market that's relatively flat year over year. People, you know, some a little bit struggling. So first question I have is, where does your business come from? So we'll start, Kristen, we'll start with you. Like, where does your business come from? What do you do?
At first I started focusing on a lot of military because we have a huge base here, so we had a lot of turnover there. And then, I just started promoting to them more, closing transactions with them, and then they would refer me to their friends, their, coworkers, and then it just really turned into referrals. Now I'm mostly referrals.
Mostly referrals.
Yeah.
And so now is it still predominantly focused on military or is it?
No, somehow I kind of like switched over to sellers somehow. I don't really know how that happened, but I do mostly sellers and then, first time home buyers.
That's great.
Yeah.
So we have a couple guys down in our Marietta office, Ron and Angel, they're big in the military. And last year they did all military and I was sitting down with Ron and his business plan. He goes, I gotta start working with civilians. And I said, is that what you call non-military people? And he goes, yeah, civilians, like, thanks, okay, great. So I'm just a civilian. So good. All right, Billie Jean, where's your
Well-
business coming from?
With being in this business for 30 years,
Mhm.
it's evolved over the years. Yeah, at the beginning, I was like beating the pavement, door knocking, talking to, wear my name tag into the grocery store, accost people at the gas station, hand in my car, just wherever I could just get my name out there, But now, 30 years later, my business is my clients.
Yeah,
And I get referrals from clients that have, referring, maybe I sold someone a house and they're referring their kids or friends or workmates,
Yeah.
and I get a lot of business that way. Or it seems very inevitable that you sell someone a house, 5 years later, they're gonna be moving again.
interesting.
And I always get that repeat. The house they bought, they're now selling to move something else.
No, that's great. Very good. Good. Joanna, what about you?
So my business comes from all over because I am pretty involved in church.
Okay.
And I have it, I donate part of my commission. If I get a referral from our church, part of my commission, I give it back to church. So my number one referral is our pastor. Realize after a few of these transactions, like, oh, I get it. So he actually puts me on every time I have a check, he puts me to make announcement. And because now I'm like, well, maybe we can motivate other business owners to do the same thing. So I get a phone call, it's like, we're from St. Williams and we know you donate part of your commission back to church, so we want you to come and look at our house. So, that became.
Everybody needs to go join a church, like immediately after this. Oh, what church you belong to? I don't even care what your religion is.
It took, we're pretty involved in it, but it took time. It was funny when he finally had that aha moment, like, oh. So, and I helped one of the pastors buy a house, and now the other day, last Friday, he's like, do you have a business card with you? Because my neighbor's thinking of selling and I want you to find me a neighbor. So he's like, oh, sure, there's my card. And so that is a big part. We also do, we organize events because I don't like cold calling. So if I have a reason to call people to invite them to something, I'm more likely to do that. So we always we call it wine and wisdom. So we have a little sip of wine and then we have some speaker that would be motivational. So over the years, we have, lady who owns, Intrust Legal, and she does trust and wills, and so that brought a lot of interest in people who don't understand the difference between trust and, so now she got so much business from those events that now every time she's got someone who's in a probate and it's out of the area, she sends them to me to list the property or, so that, my return clients, they refer because I always want to provide the best quality service and I always emphasize I want to take as much stress away from you. I'll take that on me so you don't have to worry about it. And then they said, that was so true. You really take a lot of stress out. So it's just my clients refer me. So it's mostly by referral.
That's great. First thing that popped in my head with wine and wisdom is typically the more wine, the more wisdom is usually kind of how that would go, but yeah, it's a different thing. So Billie Jean, going to you, you said, 30 years, you're now, it's clients, but it's people that buy and sell 5 years. Now they come back and say, hey, it's been a thousand 5 years. So
That typically is what I say.
how do you, what's your system? Like, do you have I call them every 2 months, I email this, like, do you have a specific system you follow, staying in touch with your database?
So my database, so I do send out a calendar once a year, which isn't a big deal, but I do
Uh-huh.
send out a calendar.
Sure.
I did do the preferred client for years. I had that going always. So they would get a calendar there and they'd get the cards twice a year in the magazines and stuff like that. Plus, periodically, if I see a house come up in their neighborhood, I'll send them a text or an email saying, hey, hi, how you doing? I just want to let you know what's going on in your neighborhood, and send them some information about that new listing. So it's just to keep them mindful that I'm still here.
Right, yeah.
And then also to just kind of let them know I'm thinking about it.
No, that's great. I love it. Kristen, what about you? Cause you said the same thing a lot. First answer was database. So how do you stay in touch with?
I do the thing that we looked at Century 21 online earlier, that trip where we're constantly like engaging with them for holidays or whatever events are coming up. So I'm constantly just, not really thinking about it, but my email's hitting them. And then I also do like some sort of touch point that every month they get something from me in the mail, just automatic. It's super expensive, so I'm really happy to hear about the ECC because I'm definitely switching to that.
Way to go, Dave.
Yeah, that was great. Thank you for sharing that. That was great. And then I think social media is huge for real estate now and staying connected with people.
Sure.
So I add my clients to social media, Instagram, Facebook, whatever, and I'm constantly like engaging with their content. So they're always kind of hearing from me or seeing seeing my likes pop up and stuff.
That's great. Good. What about you? What about database? How do you stay in touch with it?
So I'm big on personal notes.
Okay,
So I send ton of, like at least 50 each month, handwritten, specific to each client. And like now for St. Patrick's Day, I just send 50, I get scratchers, $1 scratcher, and I put it in there. I'm like, let's just trying to spread a little bit of good luck, let me know how you did. And it's fun every year. Someone's like, oh, I got $5. Oh, it was so fun. Like, I wasn't lucky, but thanks for
Yeah.
thinking of me. So I do that. Once a month, I send like an item of value to about like 160 my top clients.
what do you mean an item of value?
Like something real estate related, like piece of like short, I am a part of Brian Buffini thing, so they provide it's almost like a flyer kind of thing, something, and it has a letter attached to it. So we do that, and then we do pie party for Thanksgiving, so everyone who bought a home or sold and is still in the area, and anyone who referred me gets a pie for Thanksgiving. So we invite everybody to the house and we have a little pie party, everyone leaves with the pie. So that's always fun, kind of, and then because we always did events at the office, so I had a reason to call and connect with the clients, and they come and it's like, oh, there's all these other people who are dropping things at my door, and I just rip it up like, no, you're my agent. So, and just kind of trying to develop those raving fans,
Yeah.
of people that just, know they're, no matter what, they're my clients.
You know what's really cool? We're only a couple questions into this and each of you have different answers to those questions. And it's just a reminder of there's multiple ways to do this, And so whatever for everyone here and on Zoom listening is, you can figure out a way, whether it's, social media, whether it's doing the PCC, whether it's doing these little scratchers and things like that. There's different ways to do this. And so it's really cool that I didn't plan this out, but it's really cool that we're getting different answers, which is really neat. Okay, so let's shift gears a little bit here. It's not hard to find a real estate agent, okay? So there's obviously, even though you have past clients, you have people, there's competition left and right, okay? So what would you say are the 2 to 3 things that really separate you and make you that great agent? So Billie Jean, to start with you, like, what are the things that's why you're my agent?
So you know, it's just like if you're at a listing appointment and they're saying they're.
Yeah, like, hey, so we're at a listing appointment, I'm saying, well, I am interviewing another agent, you know, they said this, you know, what makes you different than others?
Oh, that scenario, that's why I want to clarify.
Yeah.
So, you know, any agent can advertise online, any agent can get professional pictures, any agent can, you know, market in those ways, stage the home or whatever. So you've got to go beyond that, and that's where I make it more personal. So, you know, I let them know that, you know, I'm gonna, you know, I'm there for them, you know, and I'm there to, you know, for their goals. You know, I'm not what my goals are, but what their goals are, that they matter, you know, what they want to do, you know, make it personal, that they know that you're gonna work hard for them to achieve those goals.
Mhm.
And, you know, it just separates, you kind of develop a trust with those clients, because they know that you're not just trying to sell their house. Do this, I'm gonna make you some money, you know, I'm gonna sell your house. You take it back and be personal with them. I think this is what, you know, and that I'm here for you, I will work hard for you, I'm hands-on, I will be present, you know, call me anytime you have questions, you know, those kind of things. Just know that you're gonna help them through that process.
So-
and achieve their goals.
Real estate, selling a house can be a pretty stressful process. It sounds like what you do is do your best to keep them at ease.
Keep them at ease and also provide information, always be there for them. You know, and every person has a different scenario, you know, as we know, you know, realtors, we deal a lot with debt, you know,
Yeah,
trust.
right.
And divorces and really stressful situations, and they're selling their house. On
Yeah.
top of that,
Right,
you know, so you've gotta work with it, you know, and, you know, be compassionate.
Yeah.
You know, and understanding, and not be all about, I'm gonna make some money here, this is $1 million property, you know? I mean, don't show that side.
yeah,
Show that you really wanna be there for them,
that's great,
you know?
great. Kristen, what about you?
Yeah, I agree with that, making it kind of personal and tailored towards them. And then, the other thing I like to start with when I tell people, I think it's great that they're interviewing other agents. But one thing I always start off with is I'm part of Century 21, which is a globally recognized brand. We're not going anywhere. We're not like afraid our office is gonna get shut down or anything like that. And then I do, advertise the fact that I do professional videography, photography, and push that to all my social media.
Great. Thank you. What makes you different?
So I'm a people's collector, so I have a person.
Sounds terrifying. when you
I
say
know,
that.
I know, but see, they react, they're like, what do you think? So I'm like, well, I have a person for everything that you could possibly need. So I can, if you, don't worry about, like, if you need movers, I have movers. If you need plumber, I have plumber. You, like, whatever you could possibly need to make this transition easy, I've got a guy, or I know a guy that knows a guy. So, and I always want to, give them the control of the transactions. I said, this is how I envision, you know, and I have a plan of action. I am all about that. I hate surprises, so surprises kill deals, so let's just eliminate them from the beginning. That also eliminates stress. So I'm the person who is gonna keep it together. My daughter, I asked her, I said, so, you know, what am I good at? And she's like, Mom, you don't have problems. You solve problems. You're the crisis center and we all call you and you have solution. So I think that's what it is. Like, I'm just solution oriented, and whatever the issue will come up. And I always say, something will come up. It always does.
Right,
I'm here for you to eliminate that.
that's great. I love it. I love it. Yeah, you gotta have that separate. And I like that you said that. There is something that always comes up. And so it's good to just maybe let them know that, hey, this is probably not going to be really easy. Something will come up. You need someone like me on your side when that happens. Oh, I like that. So along the same lines, let's try to narrow it down to one. And so Kristen, we'll start with you. What would you say is your superpower?
I'm great at problem solving.
Okay,
Is it just one or a couple?
no, one, like your
Okay.
your
Problem
big
solved. I'm great
superpower,
at
like
it.
if you were just one superpower. What would it
Problem
be?
solving
Problem solving.
capability, I guess, yeah.
Okay, Joanna, what about you?
I'm solution oriented.
Solution,
So, yeah, there is gonna, whatever the issue might be, there is a solution for it, and I'll find it.
Billie Jean, what's your superpower?
I'm a good listener.
Good with something.
That's how you, when you really listen to people, you find out what their needs are and then you can help them better. Sometimes they don't know how to tell you that, what they need, but you can listen.
Did everyone hear what she just said?
Yes.
Cause that was a good one.
Yeah.
I mean, solutions are great too, but that line of, if you listen, you can figure out everything that they want, they need. That's a good, do you? Do you do, before you go on a listing presentation, do you call the client and do like a pre-qual? Ask them some questions, or do you do all that at the listing presentation?
So it depends on the scenario, like if I've already talked to them on the phone and I kind of have a main idea of what, yes, I try to get as much information. And then I'll do some, background digging, and so, cause I never go empty handed, I wanna kind of be prepared. There are sometimes times when I have CMA with me and I just keep it in my briefcase, cause I'm like, oh, I'm so off on this.
Yeah,
One way or another, like I thought, oh, this is gonna be a great house, and it's like, unique fixer-upper opportunity, then it's like, okay. And sometimes my estimate is low, and I'm like, okay, no, so I'm like, oh, now that I sell, but then I always have something that I can leave. So I can come back and say, oh, did you have opportunity to see this, and then when can we meet again, so we can actually go over the price point? But I would present my marketing plan and how I work at that appointment, and then I'll just come back with the price tag.
Billie, do you pre-qual, do you call them or get information before the listing presentation, or do you figure, when you say the listening portion, do you do all that at the presentation?
So basically what I get from them initially is, why are you selling? Asking that question. What's your timeline? And then I ask them some details about their house, and then I set the appointment. And I said, we'll go over the fine details when I.
If their time frame was, you know what, we're probably 9 months or so away. Is that, you still going, you
I
still
still
doing the
go.
presentation, yep, still going, got it, okay.
Yeah, I think,
That may change.
yeah,
After you talk to them.
Yeah,
yeah,
like
you just
that
tell
number.
them, it's gonna be different, the number I
Right.
give you today is gonna be different in 9 months.
Right.
But yeah, I try to get as much information as I can before I meet with them, so I kind of am prepared for what I'm walking into. And I bring the full CMA packet, and I just let them know ahead of time, this number is gonna be a big range, because I'm not sure how ready your property is to go to market. But once I see it, I have a better understanding of what I think we should list for.
That's a great line. That's a really good, I like that. No, I asked that question because there are so many people that get so excited about the idea of somebody selling that it's, I'll be there. Yeah, you want 4 o'clock? Yeah, I'll be there. And they're not fully prepared. And each one of you talked before about solutions, listening, and I'm like, okay, well, you must have some information prior to going there. So that's why I kind of brought that question up. So let's shift gears here a little bit. Let's think about some of these agents in this office are newer, some of the people listening are newer. For the either newer or people that are just struggling and need to get their business going, what are 2 or 3 things that you would recommend they do right away? So Kristen, let's start with you.
Well, when I first started, I was definitely more passive. I thought that I would just put a tag on my shirt that said I'm a realtor, and I thought a lot of people would come to me automatically. I realized really quickly that that's not the case.
There's a magnet on it though.
So you can wear it with every outfit. It works. But I had to learn early on that you have to be proactively looking for leads. That was the biggest thing for me. And then time management was another big thing. It's so easy to get overwhelmed. Like you get a client who wants to see a property and it's like, okay, let me drop everything and show you this house right away. But then it's easy to get overwhelmed when you're doing that. Like you yourself get bogged down. So I think it's really important to have like a schedule in place.
That is a really, really good point, especially for newer agents, because you will run yourself ragged. If you don't set some standards and some boundaries for yourself. Very great point. Billy, what would you give to the people, either newer agents or people that just need to get going? What are 2 or 3 things?
Okay, well, the first thing, I've mentored agents before, new agents, and the first thing I tell them is that you're not in this business to sell houses. And they look at me like, yeah, I am.
Kinda
You
like
know?
some of them are looking at you right now.
And I
Am
remind
I in the
them,
right room?
Yeah, you're right.
I've been here all day.
no, but I follow that with, after they're falling on the floor, like, oh, wait a minute, I want to make money. And I said, this is a service business. You're in this business to provide a service. And that service is real estate. And that by providing that real estate service, the money will follow and the referrals. You know, if you do it right. When I first started, I had little kids, you know, and I was busy. And I realized from the very beginning, I have to create this as a business. This is not part-time. I'm gonna run and do this and that, what, you know, and then, you know, take care of my kids and take them to the park and do all this other stuff at the same time, but I had to have a mindset like a 9 to 5, you know, and I still do that today.
Yeah.
I get up in the morning, by a set time, I'm dressed, ready to walk out the door, just in case, even though I don't have an appointment.
Yeah.
You know, and I sit down in front of my computer, whether it's at home or work, you know, and I start working. And I have to keep my focus on real estate.
Yeah.
If I don't, and I wander out in my garden if I'm at home and wanna, you know, play with my tomato plants, you know, well, I lose my focus. And I've noticed over the years, if I don't do that during normal business hours kind of thing, I start to lose business. It's like if you take your focus off real estate, your business will dwindle.
Yeah.
You have, that's the best thing I can tell new people starting out is this is a business. And you have to treat it like one. It's not a activity that you're gonna, I do real estate, you know,
Yeah,
it's an actual thing.
yeah,
You know,
that's a real thing. Real money.
It's a career. That's
Yeah.
what I tell them, this is your career now. You know, it's a business.
That's great. That's great. I love it. What about you?
I agree with Jude. We are in the service industry and, you know, like I always like you have to give like this, because if you give like this, you can't receive. So you have to give, and then once you give, you will receive. But for me, I think the game changer was to have a CRM and you know more people than you think that you know, and start putting those people into CRM and contact them. So whatever touch point whatever works for you. Like I love personal notes and I write to people and they say, that was the only positive thing that I got in the mail. So people respond to it. So I don't just write the same thing to everyone, like each note is specific to whoever I'm writing. And what I know about them, or if I know they're sick, or like, you know, I call, like, how was your surgery? Can I bring you anything? Do you need anything from a grocery? I actually mean it. And they know, like, if they would call me, I would like, okay, I'm on my way. So, just be real. And I think people can sense the commission breath. Like, if you're just going on a listing up, like, I can never sell anything when I'm desperate. So it's like the goal is never to spend more money than what you have, because I never want to be that desperate. When I was a hairdresser for 25 years, you know, I never did more, like never tried to talk client into more service just because I had a car payment or I had to, like, no, it's like, we just did what was right. And I always do the next right thing, no matter how expensive it might be. There were some lessons, I always say, I learned the expensive lessons so much faster. The more expensive it is, the faster I learn. And I had some expensive lessons that I learned over the years. Some of it, the language got me, because replace and remove are two different actions. So.
Oh, boy.
So that was, English mishap, but it happened, and I learned that lesson very quickly to read and actually comprehend what it says. So, but I think the CRM was really for me the game changer when I actually had it, like I looked at it, I'm like, okay, today I need to call this person and this, and I need to send a note to this person, this and that. I knew what to do, because a lot of times I didn't, like, what do people do in the office?
Yeah.
I didn't know, especially coming from here in Australia.
No, and it's great, and all three of, I mean, a couple of you actually said it and alluded to it, is that it's a business.
Yes.
You know, you schedule, right? You get up every day and get ready, like you handwrite notes. That's, you know, most people probably, well, most people in real estate don't have a schedule. That's why they get into real estate. Okay, people don't get into real estate for money. They get in because they don't want to have a schedule. But yet you're sitting here saying, hey, look, if you want to make money, you gotta have the schedule, you gotta get dressed, you gotta do it. You know, one of the things that always stuck out to me is, you know, Mike Ferry when Mike Ferry started his coaching company, he was working out of his house. And what he would do every day is he'd get dressed up in his suit, he'd leave the house, he'd walk down to the end of the driveway and then walk back in, so it felt like he was walking into his office and then sit down and do that. But he was like, that was how I got ready, because I just didn't want to sit at the house and sit, and I feel like it's funny, he told that, you know, that started 50 years ago, and here we are in today in such a virtual world. And I wonder how many people need to do that, you know, get up, get ready, have a schedule, go do this, handwriting notes. Most people just do mass text, mass emails in your handwriting, like it's all three of you, it's a business. There's structure, there's things you have to do, so.
Millennial clients, like I have my kids, they think it's the funniest thing to receive a note that is handwritten. They're like, oh my gosh, it's like,
Did you have an AI write this? This is amazing. Like,
and
I actually with my own.
You can.
what I use social media for is to figure it out where people's birthdays are, because hardly anybody receives a birthday card anymore. So I write birthday cards to most of my clients just because I keep, you know, over the years, I stock them on Facebook. I actually have cards that say, I don't need Facebook to tell me that it's your birthday. And I would send them that card, so.
There you go. Kristen, side question for you. So you mentioned social media. I know social media is a big thing for people today. Can you elaborate a little bit? I know you said a couple things like you like it, so they see, but do you run ads? How often do you post? Like, are there any social media tips that you can provide?
I'm not the biggest social media person. I try, so that's why it's easier for me to like videos or comment on like your dog is so cute or something simple. But for marketing, I do have a separate Facebook page and a separate Instagram page that I do like run ads on when I have a listing. You can boost your like listing for whatever dollar amount, but it's usually pretty small and affordable.
Yeah.
And then I do create content. There's a lot of agent user-friendly Canva templates that you can create content and just schedule it out. So I try to do that as well.
That's great. Cool. So you keep it pretty simple and organized.
Yeah.
Okay, got it.
Yeah.
So I had another question here, and then we'll open it up for the audience for the last few minutes. There's not just in real estate, but just kind of the world we live in, there's a lot of negativity. And then in real estate, you hear a lot, oh, price is too high, interest rates too high. You know, my favorite, you know, with NAR, because NAR keeps coming up with reasons as to why there's not as many sales and they're running out of reasons. Like, for example, at the end of the year, and here's what I mean, at the end of the year, they're like, well, you know, it's election time. Like, okay, that's fine. Interest rates are high. Okay, that's fine. Inventory is low. It's okay, fine. Well, the latest one I read is, well, it's been colder this winter. It's like, all right, we're running out of stuff here, folks. We're running out of things. But the point is, there's just always that. So my question is, how do you keep your mind positive? How do you block out the noise and keep a positive mindset? So Billie Jean, start with you. Like, how do you keep that positive mindset going every day?
Well, there is a lot of negativity, you
Yeah.
know, and especially clients that they call you, the market's gonna crash. There are a bunch of chicken littles running around. The market's gonna crash, the market's gonna crash, you know, so, I mean, I get that all the time. It's like, you know, so I ask them, why do you feel that way? You know, I try to see where they're coming from first, you know, and well, how can I help you understand that? I offer, again, being helpful to somebody with, information that I can provide to kind of show differences. Maybe if they're not gonna buy because the interest rates are too high and the inventory is low and the prices are gone up. Well, let's look at, what do you want in a house? Let's look and see what your options are. Turn it around into something that does exist, that is more positive. Instead of their speculation of everything is doom and gloom, kind of thing. And then also just, with, I had a listing appointment I went to, and I walked in the door and the first thing he said, this is like, 8 months ago, are you voting for Trump or Biden? And I'm like,
Oh, my God.
and so I politely said to them, I'm here to talk to you about your home. My political views is not important, and you just gotta say, we're not gonna take that there, You're gonna only hire me if I'm this or that, kind of thing. So sometimes you get those things right in your face, you just gotta be polite, turn it around into something that's, focused. Focused and
Yeah.
positive.
There you go.
Yeah.
Whoever the buyer is voting for, Mr. Seller, that's who I'm voting for.
Yeah.
Right, I'm gonna make sure the buyer really likes us, okay? So I'll make sure to put that in the prequel. Funny stuff. Joanna, what about you? Like, how do you stay positive? How do you block out the negativity that goes on?
Well, I always say be positive, my blood
Your
type.
blood type is be positive?
So I'm just natural, like I am naturally positive person. There's always, things always can be worse.
Yeah,
They're all, so would it help to be negative? No, I always tell the kids, does it help that you're stressed out? Does it help that you're negative? No, and who wants to be with a grump and someone who's always negative? Nobody. So you're not attracting anyone by feeding into their frenzy. So I think having knowledge and knowing what's kind of happening and say, I see you must be listening to some social media stuff, That's not really, it's just like when people tell you we watch weather. We say, everyone is obsessed with weather, right? And our weather is pretty much the same. And a lot of times you look at the weather on your weather app and it's completely different just looking out the window. So it's like, just look out the window to see what the weather is. Like, I am happy to tell you about real estate because I live, breathe and see real estate. So I have current knowledge, not really something that it's out there in the world.
Yeah.
So I'm happy to provide you the more specific things, or do you need what are you looking for?
Got it.
And I just don't wanna hear it.
Yeah.
That's why I don't do social media. I don't want to watch news. I just don't, it just doesn't help.
Yeah, so you just don't even, you block out everything that could be negative, even having a chance to get to you.
Right, I don't want it because there's just enough, and I have 4 kids, so I can be pretty negative. Don't help me.
Yeah. Kristen, what about you? How do you block this out? How do you stay positive?
I was gonna say a lot of what Joanna said. I totally agree with that. I think you are who you kind of hang out with. So if you're hanging out with Debbie Downers who are always upset about something that we can't change, then that's gonna get portrayed onto you, and then you're gonna start feeling a little bit down too. So I say you have to be cautious who you're hanging out with. Surround yourself with positive people. What can you talk about that can how can you help your clients? You're not gonna be able to fix interest rates. You're not gonna be able to bring more houses to the market. But what's in your control? If your clients need real estate, I'm here to help you with real estate.
Hey, you really are who you hang out with. I mean, that is really important, and for some people, I'm gonna say something that's gonna be hard. Some of it might be people that you've been close to for a long time. That you're gonna have to make some real decisions in your life of how much more time do I wanna keep hanging out with these people, right? I know for myself, I had to make that decision years ago, when I was trying to get to a certain level, and I still had friends going, what do you do for spring break? I'm like, dude, we're 26. 26, figure it out. Right? Hey man, it's been a good run, but I gotta go start hanging out with other people, So, it's a great point, become hanging out with. So we got a couple minutes here. Any questions from the audience for this wonderful group of ladies? I mean, I got more, but Does anyone else have a question?
Do you remember your first transaction and how it felt?
Yes. Oh, yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Kristen looks terrified, so let's start
Yeah,
there.
mine was interesting. It was a lady who was trying to sell her house. So I, being proactive and, hitting the ground running. I went to every for sale by owner that I could find, and this lady had for sale by owner signs everywhere, like up the street for like a mile. And then I finally found her house and she's like waving me in, even though she didn't know I was there as a realtor. But I came and I met with her and, so she agreed to sign me as an agent. This is my first week as a realtor. I've never done a listing, didn't even really know contracts, nothing. And, she was interesting. She kept all of her for sale by owner signs up. She bought open house every day, all day signs and had them everywhere. She was like insistent on being there for every transaction, but kind of like what Billie Jean was saying, you just kind of have to like understand your clients. And for her, she was very anxious, and I understood it was because she loved this home. So it's just a matter of like working with them and making them feel comfortable.
How did you feel?
I was anxious as heck. It was my I think I was in Pam's office like every day, like, Pam, what do I do? But no, it worked out really well because I'm really good with anxious people. I'm really like calm. And so it was a good fit for us. We worked well.
Billie Jean?
So is this like a listing or a buyer?
Oh, the
Just
first one you can
transaction.
remember,
First
if you can
transaction.
remember that far back.
Okay, so the first transaction, I was doing an open house for another person. And it wasn't my listing, so I was there at the open house, and these people walked in and looked at the house. They said, we don't like this house. Do you got any others that would be similar? So I says, well, there is one over here. So I went and showed them. They says, we want to buy it. I'm like, oh. Now what do I do? I was just holding the open house. So I'm like, I'm not gonna buy her. So
Okay, no problem. Let me get someone to help you.
So, yeah, and I said, oh, okay, so, and of course, back then, you go back to the office with the contracts that are in triplicate. And that's pressed real hard, so
Funny.
But it was only 8 pages back then.
it was only 4 pages when I started.
It might have been less.
I was gonna say,
So,
Sorry about the same time.
yeah, so we went back to the office and wrote it up.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
Terrifying, wasn't it?
It was, I was scared, I'm like, am I doing this right? Am I doing this right? Of course, I was like real cool with that.
Done this 1,000 times
And actually,
before.
one thing I did do, I confessed to them, I said, I have to let you know, this is my first time
Oh, my God.
doing this. And after I said that, they said, oh, we are so excited to be your first clients. And I'm like, oh. That took a lot of pressure.
That's also a very brave thing to say.
I know, but I was just like, oh, you know.
Same question you had.
So I was in the office at 7:30, maybe 7:15 in the morning. The phone rang, I picked it up, and they're like, oh, good, you answered, you get the listing.
Oh, wow.
And I was like, okay. I'm thinking, what do I do? What do I do? So I'm like, I just got the address, got their phone number, and got their names. And I'm like, and I set up an appointment, I don't know, 12 or something. And then Dave walks into, I'm like, I'm supposed to go to listing. I don't know what to do. So Dave went with me, and apparently I did everything wrong. And
He did everything wrong?
no, I.
Oh, I was like,
I-
come on, man.
I did everything wrong. I said all the wrong things, but we got the listing. And I have a knack of connecting, like it worked for me.
I was thinking it
because-
was more of a positive experience than that, but okay.
No, he says you normally you don't wanna talk about this and you don't wanna talk about that.
Well, she went right into religion with the people.
Old move, old move.
They, it's like, they had to be Catholic, like, I know my people, right? They're talking about that, well, which church, well, your mom went to the same church like I did, so it worked, it connected, but yeah, I get it, normally you don't wanna, I wouldn't talk about religion, but in that case, like, I don't know,
It worked.
it was the Holy Spirit.
Spelled out.
The Holy
We do have one question from Martin Zamora. I'm sorry if I screwed up your name. The question is, how do they maintain focus throughout the day?
Oh.
All right, that's a great question.
What kind of drinks?
Who wants to go first? Why
I
not?
go, I'm a squirrel, I don't do that, it's a big, huge goal for me to stay on task. That's why I love the idea that we have things already planned, like scripts at 8. You know, I'm still need to get brave enough to sign up for the open mic, I'm not there yet. But it's a huge challenge to stay on schedule and on task, because every day is a different adventure. And you know, sometimes you have the best laid out plan, and then the wheels fall off on something, and then all of a sudden you're in trying to scramble, put everything back together. But just, I think showing up at the office at the same time every day, it gives you a great start to it. And then, so we do the scripts, and after that I do my notes, and then, you know, and then my phone calls and, but at least what you said, from 8 to 12, if you can manage that, then everything else kind of just will fall, you know.
It's great. Kristen, Billie Jean, who wants to go?
Yeah, I would say Billie Jean said it earlier. You have to think of it as a business. It's in a 9 to 5 business, and you're not gonna be able to focus on it all day. You have to give yourself breaks, so. Schedule lunch, you know, someone go out, make coffee, whatever. You're gonna have to take breaks, but you have to think of it as a business, so. It's your mindset, really.
I use an old school day planner.
Yeah,
And so if I have transactions going on, sometimes I have one or none, sometimes I'll have 8.
yeah,
You know, and you have to plan what you're gonna do that next day. And I write it out I write it on my day planner, you know, I can look at it, and that's my schedule for the day. Let's say I have no transactions going on. I still get up in the morning and I think, okay, I need to spend this much time trying to figure out, I first check the hot sheets, and, you know, I just keep doing stuff, you know, that's real estate related, just to keep focused on my business.
yeah,
And where am I gonna get more business, because I have none right now,
yeah.
you know, so it's just a mental discipline, I would
Yeah.
say, is
No.
what it is.
That's really great. But it's, you know, all of you kind of alluded to this, is having a plan for the day. You know, I mean, and that's one of the ways you stay focused, because if you're already off the track when the day starts, I can't imagine you're not even gonna make it to the afternoon. You know what I mean? So having a plan for the day is a really great thing. You know, I wanna go back to something.
Well,
real-
structure, not the
Structure.
plan, but a structure.
Structure, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, you know, and like you said, write it out the night before. You know, Neil always taught me when I was younger of the morning starts the night before. You know, take 5 minutes the night before, write out, you know, your structure, your plan, your goals for the following day, where you're gonna be, you know, all these other different things. So I think that makes a big impact. I wanna go back and touch on something on the previous question. Dave asked a really great question, and then we'll wrap up here on your first deals. But if you listen to the answers, some really interesting things came from that, is because Christian, your deal was patience. You really had to be patient with them throughout the process. And that's probably one of the biggest traits you need as a real estate agent, is patience. Because is it fair to say, clients, this is probably the most stressful
Yes,
transaction they're gonna go
Yes.
through outside of a death. You know,
right.
planning a funeral or
Well,
something
and
like that.
sometimes it is death
Yeah,
and divorce, and they're moving to a new job, so it's
Yeah.
like trifecta of super stress.
so if you can't show that patience with clients, they're gonna smell that commission breath, and that, I mean, that is huge, that you said that. And then Billie Jean, was interesting, you were hosting an open house that was somebody else's agent, that was another agent's.
Mhm.
So it's another reminder of, if you don't have anything going, and I don't care how long you've been in the business, new or not, if you don't have anything going, go host an open house for somebody else. Call other agents, hey, can I host your open house? Like, figure out how to go get a deal. You know what I mean? Because that clearly didn't stop you. I don't have a listing, or maybe you did at the time, but I wanna do an open house, I'm gonna call other agents. And figure out oh yeah, I'll go host your open house. And sometimes that again is more of an ego thing. Oh, no, I gotta host someone, I gotta call someone, yeah, call them, see if you can host their open house. And yours, what was really interesting is you got the listing because you picked up the phone.
Right, because they called everybody else, and
So-
no one was in the office, and they're like, oh, good, you picked up the phone, you get the listing.
Now, fast forward, here we are in 2025. How many deals do you think get lost because I can't get a hold of the person? They don't pick up the phone, they don't do this, they don't, you know, one of the stories, we have a great agent in Long Beach, Melinda Elmer. And she had a client and it was just an awful deal, and they're like, they're never gonna work with me, it is what it is. Well, the client called her one day. And she goes, Rob, I'm actually really surprised to hear from you. And you know what he said? He goes, well, I called 2 other agents, but they didn't answer, so I guess we're working together again. So, but it just reminded, you gotta pick up the phone, you gotta answer it. So, you know, for everyone who says for a faster response, text me, you might as well just say, I'm too busy for you. You know what I mean? So it's just sometimes you listen to these answers and there's little nuggets in there of like, man, that was a golden piece in there. So I wanted to hit on those. So look, we're coming up on time, but we only did this for 35, 40 minutes. And, you know, because, you know, there's 3, you can't get too deep into it, but there were some really great answers on this panel. So I don't know about all you, but I think that was pretty awesome.
Yeah.
That's all I got to say. I'm glad we have this recorded because there was a couple of little things that I want to add to some of the scripts that were said. I'm like, ooh, that was a good line there. So, thank you, because I know this is not something that any of you normally do.
Yep.
And so I appreciate that you took the time out of your day to be here to do this and share this because there were some really, really great answers in there. And I am very excited to continue working with the 3 of you and all the production you're doing. So, keep that up and, I'm excited for the next panel that you're on.
I just wanna say one more thing. I just listened to just the random, stuff. I'm not gonna tell you where it comes from, but I wrote it down because I'm like, oh my gosh, this is so true. Success comes from the length of time you can spend in the learning space. So we get frustrated from, you know, we're not knowing and we wanna know as fast as possible. And we get frustrated on that, all the stuff we have to learn. But I think that's really where the success comes. It's the time that you're willing to keep learning. And I think that as much as I hated school when I was in school, when actually in my profession, whichever it was hair or now in real estate, I am a constant student of my craft and I love learning and knowing, and I almost have a fear of not knowing because I don't want to sound stupid or mediocre.
Yeah.
I want to be knowledgeable.
And it's amazing how many agents of your stature, and I know you would probably feel the same way, that it's because that's a non-ego statement. And it's amazing how many of the producers like you make statements like that. Oh, I have to keep learning. And yet, as someone who is in charge of a real estate company, one of the things I deal with all the time is, I got my first deal, can I get a higher split? Right, Orhan, Romeo, right? And yet.
Just 2 days before.
And so I think it's a great question or a great point. And so for people growing their businesses, you always have to keep learning. It's a never ending process. So I really appreciate that. So again, thank you. And as we wrap up here, I can't thank Dave